Hello everybody, we are back. It's been a long time since my last video. I've had lots going on, moving house, turning 30, but I'm back with a video. Start of the Premier League last weekend, a few bits in between, transfer window still open, so lots and lots to get through, so I'll try not to keep it too long. Going back pretty much from the last thing I haven't spoken about, obviously the Community Shield. This year I was really excited because we've not won it since 2006. We lost last year on penalties to Man City. This year we've got Arsenal, who obviously we're in transition with Arteta, much improved, but it was a winnable game and a trophy up for grabs that that we hadn't got, and we could add to the collection. But yeah, it didn't really work out that way, did it? Aubameyang, obviously fantastic goal, put them 1-0 up. Nico Williams is still such a young player. He's a good player. Made his Wales debut, got a goal, but yeah, up against Aubameyang, yeah, he was out of his depth, wasn't he? So Aubameyang, fantastic goal. We're chasing the game most of the rest of the match. Minamino saved us at the end with a good goal to equalise. Goes to penalties. Klopp chucks Brewster on to take a penalty specifically. Every time I've ever seen anyone do that, it fails. And lo and behold, he missed. So I think, chucking on an 18, 19-year-old just to take a pen, potentially his first touch of the match, you're asking for trouble. And for someone of Jurgen Klopp's experience to not think about that or even know that, and think that Brewster would be a better option than Wijnaldum, who's played the whole game, to take a pen, to me, that's really silly. And we should have won the game in 90 minutes. We should have been able to beat Arsenal at Wembley in a 90-minute match, and we didn't. So we got what we deserved. A real kick in the teeth. Just kind of goes with everything else that's been a disappointment since the league was confirmed. I mean, the unbeaten record. I know the league wasn't officially confirmed when we lost to Watford, but it basically was. So the unbeaten thing went. The 100 points thing, we were too inconsistent. We ended up on 99, didn't get the 100. Knocked out the Champions League, which I've mentioned. Knocked out the FA Cup, which I spoke about before. And then obviously the Community Shield as well was a disappointment. So, if we get back-to-back league titles, I'm not going to be too concerned. But it would have been nice. Maybe we'll be in it next year. We'll have to wait and see. Other than that, there's obviously been pre-season and some end-of-season awards for last year. Trent obviously won the Young Player of the Year, PFA, fully deserved. It was never really in doubt, was it? There was nobody else in touching distance of him last season. For the age he is, for the contribution he makes to the team, not just going forward, but obviously his plaudits are for his assists and his goals. He is a good defender as well. And yeah, it's a matter of time before he makes that right back shirt his own for England, isn't it? He's got quite a lot of competition, but realistically, he's the best, isn't he? Player of the Year, Henderson was in with a shout. Mane, Van Dijk as well, but De Bruyne won it this year, which can't really complain. He had a really consistent season, lots of goals, lots of assists. So yeah, fair play. I think Salah won it the year Man City won the league. So it doesn't always go to a player on the team that's won the league. I think it is an individual award, and I think De Bruyne probably was the best player last season overall. So yeah, fair play. In terms of the team of the season, obviously we got Van Dijk, Robertson, Trent, Henderson, and Mane all in there. I think Alisson needed to play a little bit more. I think Pope got the goalkeeper slot just because he got a lot of clean sheets and he played a lot of games. Alisson really needs to have a 37, 38 game season, I think, even, just to get back in there. Get the clean sheets tally up because, again, end of last season and clearly the start of this one, which I'll get onto, we suddenly clean sheets we can't get anymore. We're having to outscore teams where, last season a lot of clean sheets, especially towards the start of last season, really set us on our way. If you don't concede, you only need to get one to win. It seems simple, but you just keep it easy, keep the energy levels high for the next game. So yeah, I mean, overall, not too shabby, is it? The Young Player of the Year and 5 in the team of the season. But yeah, in terms of the summer, obviously pre-season, we went to Austria. So I think we were planning on going somewhere else, maybe France, but obviously COVID, so we ended up going to Austria. And we had to then come up with a couple of friendlies because COVID restrictions meant we would have had to self-isolate on the return, which would have meant it would have clashed with the start of our Premier League season or the Community Shield game at least. So we ended up making it a competitive tour, which is then exempt from the 2-week isolation once you return. So yeah, I mean, pre-season wise, we played Red Bull Salzburg. We were 2-0 down. Brewster salvaged that one with 2 goals to draw 2-2. We then played Stuttgart, which was kind of Klopp's sort of local team, the closest big team to where he grew up. Not necessarily close, but yeah, the team that he kind of saw close by when he was growing up. So that was cool. Firmino, Keita and Brewster again getting on the score sheet with a nice 3-0 win in that one. In difficult conditions, lots of rain in that game. So that was cool, not too bad. We then played Blackpool as well. We won 7-2 after being 2-0 down at home to Blackpool. There were no European internationals because obviously the Nations League was on. But we still had the likes of Matip and Mane, Firmino, Minamino, Origi. They all got on the score sheet as well. Elliott got his first goal and Vandenberg got one at the end, but Salah was there as well. So yeah, it wasn't good, but the way we came out second half to blow them away, fair play. That was better. That was a good reaction. But yeah, I mean, it showed you that really, the big thing this summer has been transfers, isn't it? Obviously, you've got the likes of Manchester City signing Ake, signing Torres from La Liga. You've got Chelsea just absolutely doing bits with Havertz, Werner, Chilwell, Thiago Silva, Ziyech, just nuts. But I understand that Klopp can be a bit frustrated. He's been in a few interviews pre-season and kind of had a bit of a moan that the oil and the customer, the clubs owned by countries are kind of spending all the money. But you look back, I know we sold Coutinho, but we've spent a hell of a lot of money on our 11 as well. So it's difficult because FSG seem to have this kind of way of doing it. You only sort of spend what you earn, nice and sustainable, but sometimes I think you do need to just go in there and refresh it up, because looking at the match at the weekend, I'll get onto shortly, but after the first 11, is there anybody of that quality that can come in and do a job in every position? The answer is no. Midfield, probably the best we have in terms of rotation. There's probably 5 or 6 midfielders that can all do a job over a season to a similar level. Up front, the front three is the front three, and after that, the gap is huge. The back four doesn't really have a backup at all. You've got 2 left backs, 1 right back, potentially Williams as backup, and then you've got Matip, Gomez and Van Dijk. Really, Matip's going to be injured half of the season. Gomez are probably a third of it, so you need another centre-back, in my opinion. And the less games Adrian plays this season, the better as well. But yeah, obviously moving on, the Premier League fixtures were announced. Our first match obviously was at home to Leeds. We then follow up with a trip to Chelsea away and a home match against Arsenal, a repeat of the Community Shield. So obviously so far we've only actually played Leeds, which was a 4-3 win. Absolutely crazy game of football. What an advert for football, but as a Liverpool fan, oh God, it was hard to watch. Great start, 4 minutes I think it was, Salah penalty, a bit of a harsh handball from Leeds in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, you take it, you get some against you as well. Salah blasted it down the middle, put us on our way 1-0, and you're thinking, hello. Leeds are going to be a good side this season. If you win the Championship by that much, then you'd expect them to come. If Sheffield United can stay up and come top half, I think Leeds can at least come mid-table this season. I don't think that's unrealistic. But no, it didn't last long. Harrison down the left-hand side, cut inside on his right foot, done Trent and done Gomez, and a great finish as well. Couldn't really argue. Poor defending, but a great goal for 1-1. We then got a corner. Robertson with a good delivery. Van Dijk doing his thing, heading us into a 2-1 lead. And then kind of undoing all this good work with a big ball over the top. Van Dijk, rather than clearing his lines, he's tried to kind of hook it back to Robertson to kind of start the attack again. But really, you need to deal with the initial threat, and he didn't, and he scuffed his kick. And Bamford was in, chipped it over Anderson for 2-2. So from there you're thinking, okay, feelings of Arsenal last season, mistakes letting us down. But no, we went again. Free kick from Robertson, great delivery, clearance header from Leeds, fell to Salah, an absolute rifle into the top corner. What a goal from Salah that was, to put us 3-2 up. And you think, okay, now let's chill. Let's get a fourth, and then we can call it a day. But no. 3-3. I think it was Klitsch, a ball into the box. It kind of dropped and hit it on the half volley. Absolutely brilliant goal. Marking questionable, but a great goal. I think they're going to have a lot of plaudits this season, Leeds, for the way they play. I really like Bielsa. I like the way he sets up. It's different, but it works, and it's good. It's good to watch. So Yeah, obviously going late into the game, I'm thinking, can we really afford to drop 2 points at home to a promoted team on the first day? Probably not, because towards the end of the season, there might be 2, 3 points difference between us and City, and these 2 points are huge. So luckily, we did manage to get the win. Fabinho went into the box, came on as a sub. Um, Henderson started in the defensive midfield role. Personally, I think Fabinho's the best holding midfielder in the world, and we look shaky without him in front of Van Dijk. So hopefully he'll be starting their next game, especially away to Chelsea. And if Henderson is going to play, I'd like him on the right hand side in a slightly more advanced role, with Wijnaldum on the left for energy as well. But I think Henderson is a good option in CDM, but I don't think he should play the role of Fabinho if Fabinho is available. I'd happily play both. We've also got Keita that's, I think, going to be more involved this season. Curtis Jones as well. Milner's going to come in now and again. So, yeah, there's some good options in there. But, yeah, luckily Fabinho won the penalty. Salah stepped up. Never easy to take a second penalty in a game. Do you do the same? Do you do something different? But no, a great pen to the left. Sent the goalie the wrong way. Got his hat-trick. What a start. Obviously didn't get his top goal scorer award last season, which he's used to getting year in, year out. So I think he's back with a vengeance. I know Vardy got a couple of goals, both penalties as well, I think, at the weekend. So he won it last year. I think it'll probably be out of those two. Aubameyang as well is going to be in with a shout. I think Mane, obviously he doesn't take the penalties. That doesn't help. But he tends to get 15 to 20 goals as well. So I think, yeah, it's going to be an interesting run. It's going to be the usual people. Timo Werner potentially, if he steps up and starts finding some form, could be up there as well come the end of the season. But yeah, as I've mentioned already, it's transfers is the biggest grind of all the Liverpool fans at the moment. Just because there's very little activity, and just because you're the best team, it's difficult. Personally, I think you add one or two, and you keep that gap between you, because if Chelsea are adding Havertz, they're adding Werner, they're adding Ziyech, they're adding Thiago Silva, they're going to get a new goalie. Suddenly, that gap has gone a lot smaller. So why let your main rivals close that gap? You don't have to go out and spend 80 million, but Thiago from Bayern Munich, they want 27 million, and it's basically we can't do it. We don't physically have the funds to do that, and I don't know why. We've got so much money from Nike. We've got so much money from winning trophies and tournaments, and sponsors and all the rest. So I don't really understand it. I mean, obviously the whole talk has been about Wijnaldum going to Barcelona, isn't it? Because obviously Ronald Koeman, who's the Holland manager as well, very keen on taking him. He's only got a year left on his contract, and he's free to discuss terms from January. Apparently he's had some positive talks with Klopp about a contract. He's only been on 80k, and I've mentioned it before, it's a hell of a lot of money. But in terms of football, he's probably on about half of what the top earners at the club are getting, possibly less than that. So he is a first teamer. He's always plays with his heart. He's fantastic. He's scored some fantastic goals, some big important moments. So for me, he deserves to at least double his wages. He's 29, or he is turning 29 soon. But I think give him a 2-3 year deal on a bit more wages, keep him at the club, and then after that, fair enough if he wants to move on. But potentially that Barcelona ship would have sailed by then, and it might be a return to Holland. So it's a bit of the Emre Can. I think the grass isn't always greener. Go ahead, try something new. Actually, you realise you're not in the Juventus squad anymore, and you're shipped out to Dortmund, and you're back where you started again in a German team that isn't going to win the league, basically. So yeah, obviously we got Tsimikas from Olympiacos left back, because we couldn't afford Jamal Lewis, who went to Newcastle. I think we were like 2 million away from what they wanted. So yeah, we got the Greek international, first Greek player I can remember playing for Liverpool. So that was good. It's good to have backup in that area. I've not really seen too much of him. I think he'll probably play in the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, and once he starts having a few more minutes, I think he'll be more confident to come in for Robertson if we ever needed him to for a league game. Or it might just happen if Robertson picks up an injury or a suspension, he might just get chucked in the deep end. But yeah, I think that's the main thing, isn't it? You see Werner linked with Liverpool. He's pretty much saying publicly he wants to go, and he goes to a rival. So there's a lot of positions we could improve on. I understand you've got a set group, but you don't want to get caught, because it's one thing to get to the top, and it's in my opinion it's easy to stay there. You just sign one player a season. where you're the weakest in that position for big money. You spend your whole budget on that because you don't need to buy 5 or 6 players because you're already the best team. You look at your team and you think, okay, first 11's pretty good. Centre back probably could do better as of starting, and probably could have a better striker that scores more goals. So, in my opinion, Timo Werner was perfect, or a Koulibaly for this summer. One of those two would have been great, but you know, once you are caught, it's much more difficult to then catch and overtake someone else rather than stay up there. All the big clubs do it. Barcelona, I know they've had a wobble this year, but the last 10 years they've been incredible because every single summer they've got one budget. They don't need to buy 5 players. They just buy the position they need the most, and they stay there. They maintain that gap. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. Obviously, I think the 4th of October is when the window shuts. So there's a long time to go. So we'll see what happens. But there's not a lot to talk about. Some people were commenting on the video saying do a video about Liverpool transfers. I don't think there's any point doing a one on its own. There's not a lot to talk about. I mean, you've got people like Loris Karius will probably leave because we've got 3 goalies already. Harry Wilson and Grujic, I don't think will feature for us this season. I think they'll be on their way. Could probably get between 15 to 20 million for each of those. Coutinho has been linked with a Premier League move, but potentially he's in Ronald Koeman's plans for next season. So interesting to see what happens with him. And obviously Suarez was released by Barcelona. Linked, I think he's almost on the verge of signing for Juventus, but for me that would have been good. I don't know what kind of level of fitness he's at. I know he's struggled with injuries, but is Suarez better than Divock Origi and Brewster as a backup striker? Yes. He'd happily come back to Liverpool, I think, as well. So I think that would have been a good one. Whether or not we will get a striker, you've got people like Divock Origi linked with a move. I think I mentioned Brewster. Potentially they might sell him with a buyback clause. I don't know. I don't know how hard up we are. I don't know why we're kind of acting like we're Norwich or Bournemouth that have gone down and have to kind of make as much money as possible from selling players. Obviously, we don't have to sell our best. We're selling the fringe, but yeah, there's definitely players we can move on and make some money. And if we can only spend what we make, I'm okay with that because that's still a good chunk of money. If we was to sell Karius, Brewster, Wilson and Grujic, I think you've got potentially, probably 60 minimum, I would say, from that. So, that potentially could happen. So we'll see what happens. It's in terms of this year, back-to-back titles would be great. It's going to be a lot harder than last year. I don't think we're going to get 99 points. I think we'll struggle to get 90. But we'll be in and around. City will be there. United will be a lot stronger with Van der Beek and Bruno Fernandes. And obviously we've mentioned Chelsea as well. Spurs are Spurs. Not going to happen. Although they are linked with Gareth Bale today. I don't know what level he's at anymore. And Arsenal, much improved, but a long way away from the title. It'd be good to get a Champions League run this year, obviously. A little bit of a letdown after being spoilt, really. Back-to-back finals, followed by a last 16 exit with Atletico. I think Bayern Munich were going to win the Champions League this year anyway. So, would it have been good to go past Atletico, then beat Leipzig, then have a go with PSG in the semi-finals? Yes. Would we have beaten Bayern Munich in the final? I'm not sure. It would have been a good game and it would have been nice to have a go. But, let's see what we can do this season. We're going to be straight into the group's first seeds. We should be getting a good tie in the last 16 and hopefully we can at least make the quarterfinals, hopefully further. So we'll see what happens. It's just we've got such a good team. It's gone from wanting it to be I can't wait to be in the Champions League. It's now become actually I expect us to do well in these tournaments, the Premier League, the Champions League. So the pressure's kind of different. You're kind of up looking down rather than down looking up. So that would be nice. A domestic trophy. Klopp's never really been one for the FA Cup or the Carabao. We've got Lincoln next week in the Carabao Cup as well. In the third round, I can imagine he will play a complete youth team. I don't think anybody will play. Potentially Milner, just to kind of put a captain in there. But the Vandenberg, the Elliott are going to all play, aren't they? Brewster, whether or not he's still there by then. FA Cup I would prefer over Carabao, but it'd be nice to have a little run in one. But I wouldn't want it to affect the other two tournaments. So we'll see what happens with that. In terms of injury, obviously Henderson was a doubt. He came back for the first game. Shaqiri and Ox are out again, which is just a joke. I mean, Chamberlain actually does something when he plays, so I have a little bit more sympathy for him. But Shaqiri, I'm not sure why he's still at the club. Even when he's fully fit, he doesn't get in the team. Is he the first sub we put on? Not really. Is he the second? Sometimes. I think he might be moved on. But yeah, in terms that's kind of it in terms of players. Just to kind of wrap up, really, a few other things. Bit of AOB. As usual, we've changed the Nike in the kit. It's still not in stock. It's a shambles. The stadium kit is available, which is the cheap one. The Vapor one has been out of stock since probably middle of August, probably more than that, and it's still not there. I even went to Liverpool. I went in 3 club shops, the one at the stadium and the other ones in the city, all out of stock of the Vapor shirt at home. How difficult is it, Nike? You know, you're going to have the exact numbers that we sold last season. We're going to say, like, oh, Nike, yeah, New Balance kits, we sold X amount of kits last season. This season, number one with Nike, so it's more, you know, it's a bigger brand. People that aren't even Liverpool fans are going to want to buy it. We're champions, so if you're going to buy a Liverpool shirt, you're going to get it with a gold badge on, aren't you? And when they're successful. So they should have at least doubled what they sold last year in terms of thinking what they're going to sell, because the whole reason they got rid of New Balance was, supply. They can't do the supply. Nike is such a more bigger company. But they can't do it either. There's no stock. And obviously the away kit was released, the green one, which is horrible. And they've released the third one lately, which is the black with the kind of checkered. And it's horrendous. New Balance, I always got the home because they were great. And the away and the third were always a bit dodgy. But I was thinking with Nike, you know, let's have a look. Let's see what we've got. Hopefully I could get home and away. Potentially even a third, because Nike obviously make really nice shirts normally, but really poor designs for the away and the third. But I will get the home eventually when it's back in stock. It will cost me a small fortune, even with the membership discount. If I want the printing with the name and number and the badge on the Vapor, it's about £110 for a football shirt, which is disgraceful. But it is what it is. If you want it, buy it. If you don't, then you ain't going to get it, are you? But yeah, I did enjoy my trip to Liverpool. I had a look at the stadium. The night tick in the seats is really nice. The Premier League trophy was on display, so that was really cool. Got to go and see that. Really enjoyed seeing that. The World Club Cup was there. Obviously, the Champions League trophies now, you've got the 6 in a row, obviously with the more recent 2 in the middle, slightly smaller than the old styles. So yeah, I really enjoyed my trip to Liverpool. That was my 30th birthday. Managed to get a few things. I got a nice Liverpool top with the Nike, the yellow Liverpool FC, just the T-shirt. Got my daughter the full kit, which was a bit better because the shirt, shorts, and socks all come together, and got her name and number on the back, which was really cool. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Coming up, obviously, next is Chelsea at the weekend away. Difficult one to predict. Chelsea started quite well. They beat Brighton Monday night 3-1 away. They look pretty good. Lamptey caused them a lot of problems down that right-hand side for Brighton. Trent is a similar sort of player to that, so I think we could probably get at them down that side. If Chilwell's still not fit, I don't think Marcos Alonso is a particularly good player. So I think that's potentially where we could get at them. Whether or not Pulisic, Ziyech, Chilwell will be available for that game, I'm not sure. Havertz and Werner will be, so they're ones to watch. Klopp's going to know all about them from his time in the Bundesliga. In terms of our team, I think you're probably going to have Alisson in goal, obviously, barring any injuries up to then. Robertson and Trent, Van Dijk and Gomez seems to be pretty set now. I'd like to see Fabinho come back in and start in the CDM with Henderson and Wijnaldum in the midfield. I don't know if he might drop Keita in there as well, but I think for the big games, those 3 seem to be his go-tos in the midfield. So I'd like to see that, tried and trusted, and up front, obviously, the Salah, Mane, Firmino combination is pretty much picks itself. So in terms of Chelsea, hopefully Kepa plays. I don't know if they'll have a new goalie by then, but Kepa's pretty dodgy, especially from outside the area. As I say, I think Alonso will stay. I don't think Chilwell's fit yet. They started last weekend with Christensen and Zuma at centre-back. Again, not particularly brilliant. Rudiger's a good player, but struggles with fitness now. And I'm not sure Thiago Silva's quite ready yet either. Reece James at right-back scored an absolute screamer against Brighton at the weekend, but is he the best defender? He's going to be up against Sadio Mane. Potentially, again, I think down the flanks is a place we could get at him, especially with Salah up against Alonso as well. Midfield, obviously, they've got Jorginho, they've got Kante, which is pretty strong. I think the third centre midfielder is going to be a Loftus-Cheek or a Barkley. Again, they're not great, so I think that's another area we could get at them. And then, yeah, you've got Werner, Havertz, and probably Mount as your front 3. potentially Ziyech or Pulisic if they can make an appearance. But yeah, I think it's going to be pretty much the same team they played against Brighton. So it'll be a good game. We won there last season. We've lost there in the FA Cup. It's always a mixed kind of performance where we get at Stamford Bridge. But if we're going to pick one to win, it's the league match. So fingers crossed we can go there, make an early statement, get another 3 points. But at the end of the day, a draw away to Chelsea would be absolutely fine, wouldn't it? Really, in this early days. I think they're a lot stronger than last year. I think Man City went. I can't remember what they did at City, but I'm sure they absolutely battered Chelsea at home. Absolutely wiped them away in the first sort of 15 minutes. But I think another year under Lampard, they're much stronger. They're still a bit dodgy at the back. So I think score prediction wise, some reason we can't get clean sheets. So I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool. I wouldn't be too disappointed with a 1-1 draw. But yeah, fingers crossed. Bring it on, and I'll catch you soon.